Brisket's week 1 video recap. So we're starting out with a little bit of play using the flirt pole. So I like to use a flirt pole when I'm working with puppies because sometimes when we're playing and we're hanging on to a toy, our hand kind of becomes an extension of that toy, and next thing you know, our puppies are chewing on our hands. So I like to use the flirt pole because I can stay in my standing position and Brisket and the toy are staying on the floor. So with this, I'll let him chase it around every so often. I'll let him catch it. When he's in possession of it, I might put some light opposition on it and play a gentle game of tug with him, but I'm not going to lift him up off the ground or drag him across the floor while that toy is in his mouth. Good job, buddy. Good boy. Whoops. Got it away from him, so I'll let him chase it for a minute. And then again, I want to let him catch it and get a win. Good boy. And then when he's in possession of it, we'll just play some gentle tug. So I do like to take breaks with him after like every couple of exercises we work on. I'll offer him a flirt pole just so that we can take a little play break between each of the things that we're working on here. Good job, buddy. Good boy. So while he's playing with that, let me find a clicker here. Good boy. Okay. So once I get this back from him, we're going to move into our first exercise here. So the first thing we're going to do is charge our clicker. So when we are training our dogs, when we are teaching them something new, we need a way to let them know, yes, you got it right, and that will always be followed by a piece of food. So that's where our clicker comes in. So we want Brisket to learn that when he hears that click, he's going to get a piece of food. So when we're charging our clicker, we're not actually asking him for any behaviors. We just want to make sure that he has a really strong association between hearing the click and getting a piece of food. So let me get this away from him here. So I'll do this maybe 4 or 5 times before we get into our first exercise here. So again, not asking him for anything in particular, just clicking once and giving him a piece of food. Boy. Good job, buddy. So the first thing that we worked on this week is having Brisket follow a food lure. So a lot of things that we teach our dogs, different positions and stuff like that, we're going to use a food lure to teach them that position. But before we can do that, we need to make sure that he is comfortable following a food lure. So when I'm using a food lure, I will hold a piece of food flat in my hand with my thumb, and then I want my palm facing the dog's snout. So for him, all I'm going to do is take a couple of steps, but the idea is I want him staying connected to that food and moving with me. After he takes a few steps, I'll click and release that piece of food to him. So I'm going to show him the piece of food. You got an itch? And again, just getting him to take a few steps with me before I click and release the food. So the goal with this is I want him staying connected to that piece of food the whole time. And just taking a couple steps with me. I've also been pairing this with his name to start to work on some name recognition. Brisket. 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 And then I do like to practice this with both hands just to make sure that he will follow a food lure, whether it's in my left or my right hand. Brisket. Good boy. Brisket. Good job, buddy. Nice work. The next thing I started to introduce to Brisket this week is a hand target or a touch command. So for this, the end goal is that we are able to put our hand out nice and flat and say touch, and our dog will come and hit our hand with their snout. So to start to teach this behavior, I am going to have a piece of food in my hand. The same way that I was just doing when we were following a food lure. I'm going to put it right up to Brisket's nose, let him start to lick it, but then I'm going to quickly pull my hand back as I cue him to touch. When he reconnects with my hand, that's when I'm going to click and release the piece of food. Here, bud. Touch. Good boy. Touch. Nice work, buddy. And I'm not pulling my hand back far to start, maybe just a foot or two. But as we practice this more, we can start to add a little more distance where he has to take a few more steps before he comes and hits our hand. Touch. Good boy. Touch. Good job, buddy. And again, I like to practice this with both hands. Touch. Good job, buddy. Nice work. I started to introduce Brisket to a stationing skill, so we're going to be calling this place or mat. So the idea with this is like big picture end goal. We put the mat down, we tell Brisket to go to place, he finds his way over to that mat and just settles into a down position. In week 1, we are just going to work on building up the value of Brisket being on the mat. So I don't care what position he's in, he's going to be rewarded for having all 4 paws on it. So the way this is going to work is I'm going to put the mat down. As soon as he finds his way over to it, I will click. I'm going to give him several pieces of food because again, we're working really hard to build up the value of him being on the mat. And then when I toss a get it cookie or a release cookie, I'm going to move the mat. The reason I'm moving it in week 1 is I want to create a little bit of excitement around this behavior, and I want Brisket seeking out the mat after each reset cookie that I toss away. So we're always going to move the mat between each repetition, but in the first week we are, again, just to create a little bit of excitement. And you'll see he's really good at this one. As soon as I put it down, he'll go over to it. So again, feeding him 3 or 4 pieces in a row before I say, okay, and then moving that mat. You're quick, bud. And like right now, he's offering me down. That's totally fine. I don't care what position he's in this week, as long as all 4 paws are on that mat. Okay. And for this, I use his kibble because we are giving him quite a bit of pieces of food. Okay. Good boy. Let's toss my get it cookies further away, bud. Okay. What a good boy. You're so happy. Okay. This week I'm not calling the mat anything. Eventually I will call this place. But right now I'm just making sure he'll do the behavior before I worry about naming this anything. Okay, we'll do one more here. Good boy. Good job, buddy. Okay. And then when I'm done working on that mat skill, I will put the mat away. Reason being, we are working really hard to build up the value of him being on the mat. If we always leave it out and Brisket goes over to it and lays down on his own and he's not being rewarded for it, it's going to start to lose its value. So in the initial learning stages, when he's learning all about place, I will only have it out and accessible to him while we're actually working on this skill. Okay, bud. Should we move on? We've been working on sits and downs this week, both of which we are using a food lure for. So when we're doing our sits, I am going to keep the food close to his face, but bring it up and back to encourage him to sink into that sit position. I like to teach my puppies duration right from the start, and then as they get a little bit older, I can kind of develop this into a sit stay or a down stay behavior. So as soon as Brisket's butt hits the ground for that sit, that's when I'm going to click, and then I'm going to give him a few pieces of food. A few pieces of food in a row for maintaining the duration before I say break and toss that piece of food away. Brisket, sit. So giving him a few pieces for maintaining that duration. Break. Using that release cue to let him out of position. We'll do that again. Brisket, sit. Good boy. Break. We'll do one more. Brisket, sit. Good boy. Break. Nice work, bud. And then we're going to do the same thing with our downs as far as the duration. So The easiest way that I find to teach a dog how to do a down is to get them into that sit position first, and then use a food lure, bringing it slowly down to the floor to get them to sink into that down position. Brisket, sit, down. So rewarding on the floor right between his paws, giving a few in a row for maintaining that position. Break, good boy. We'll do that again. Brisket, down, good boy. So I like to reward on the floor right between his paws, because if he learns to expect that that food is going to happen on the floor when he's in a down, he's going to be more likely to stay in that position. Break. Good job, buddy. We'll do one more. Good boy. Brisket, sit. You're anticipating it. Come here. Let's try again. Down. Good boy. What a smart boy. Break. Good job, buddy. I introduced Brisket to the flying cookie game this week, so this is a nice fun game we can play with our puppies to work on name recognition, meaning he turns in response to his name the first time I say it, not the fourth or fifth time. So with our flying cookie game, I'm going to toss a piece of food away from me. Brisket's going to go and chase it. As he's finishing eating that up, I'm going to call his name nice and loud. When he turns in response to his name, that's when I'm going to click, and then I'm going to reward when he comes all the way back to me. Go get it. Brisket. And then each piece that I toss, I'm going to try to toss it in a little bit of a different direction. Go get it. Brisket. Go get it. Brisket. Go get it. Brisket. Go get it. Brisket. What a good boy. We'll do one more here. Go get it. Brisket. Nice work, bud. What a good boy. We started working on teaching Brisket like the very beginnings of a formal recall, meaning he comes back to you when you call him. So we're working a lot on name recognition, because making sure that our dog responds to their name really well is going to be really important in this whole process. So for me, I will not even bother using my recall word if my dog is not responding to their name. I'll always say their name first to gauge the response before I continue on with the recall word. So for him, we've been working with just his name for now. But what you can start doing with your recall word is charging it, similar to how we charge our clicker. So for this, all I'm going to do is say, come, and drop food right at my feet. Brisket will eat the food right at my feet. He doesn't actually have to come back to me. He's going to, because I'm going to be dropping food. But we're going to teach him that when he hears come, he's going to be rewarded right at our feet. Where are you, bud? There you are. Okay. Come. So I'm not using a clicker for this. Come. I'm just taking a step after each one. Come. 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 And that's it. So it's super easy. This is something you could do with his dinner. It'll take you maybe 30 seconds, just so that he makes the association between hearing his recall word, come, and being rewarded right at our feet. Another thing we've been starting to work on with Brisket is leave it. So for this, we are starting with a closed fist. So I'm going to show him the food. I'm going to close my fist. Once he backs off or disengages from my hand, that's when I will click with my clicker and give him a different piece of food. So it's really important that when we're working on leave it, we don't give him the food we just told him to leave. You wouldn't drop an onion on the kitchen floor, tell your dog to leave it, and then say, oh, okay, you can have it. So we want to make sure we're rewarding him with something else. Brisket, leave it. Good boy. So this week we're not really working on any duration. It is just seeing that he will back away from the food that's in our hand. So showing it to him first, leave it, closing my fist, waiting till he disengages, marking when he disengages, rewarding with a different piece. Leave it. What a good boy. And then I also like to practice this with both hands. Leave it. Good boy. We'll do one more. I'm gonna toss a reset before this last one here. Go get it. Leave it. Good boy. Nice work, bud. So with this, we work up to eventually being able to open our hand and then practicing leave it, leaving on something on a surface, and then eventually on the floor. But we need to start with it in our hand first. Good job, buddy. Go get it. I started playing crate games with Brisket, so I want him to have a really positive association with the crate. Sometimes, you know, they start to associate it with us leaving the house, so I do like to play crate games to make it fun and to build up the value of him being in the crate. So this week, I'm not even closing the door. Again, just building up value of him being in there and using his release cue to let him out. So once he's in there, I'll click and reward for all 4 paws in. I'll maybe give him a few more pieces of food for nice calm behavior in the crate. Again, building up the value of him being in there. And then when I'm going to let him out, I'll meet him right at the threshold with a piece of food before I say break and toss the food away. Brisket, crate. So meeting him at the threshold. Break. Good boy. We'll do that again. Brisket, crate. Break. Brisket, crate. Break. Good boy. We'll do one more. Brisket, crate. You know the drill. What a good boy. Break. Good boy. This week I started working on some handling with Brisket. So he's going to need a lifetime of vet care and potentially a little bit of grooming here and there, especially his nails. So I want to make sure that he's comfortable being handled from a young age. So this week we started out with a restraint hold. So you'll commonly see this done in the vet's office, maybe when your dog's getting a vaccination or at some other point throughout their exam. So a restraint hold is where we slide our hand underneath our dog's belly to stabilize them. So this week I'm just working on bringing my hand underneath his belly, holding it there for just a brief moment before I mark with a yes and give him the piece of food. When I'm doing any sort of body handling with my dogs, I prefer to use a yes as my marker instead of the clicker, only because if we are working up near their head and their ears, sometimes if we're clicking and we're very close to them, it can be a little bit startling and I don't want to scare him. So I personally like to use the yes. You could really use either or, it just depends on the dog. So let's get him on a piece of food here. Whoa, what's that, buddy? Good boy. Yes. Good job, buddy. So I get him on the food first so that he's focused on eating that food and not on the fact that I'm handling him. Yes. Good boy. What a good man. Can we stand, bud? Yes, good boy. Nice work, bud. Go get it. Tossing a reset cookie. I like to toss a lot of reset cookies during handling just to kind of gauge his interest level. So if I'm doing some handling and I toss that reset after a few reps, if he takes that food but doesn't come back to me, that might be a good indicator that he's not ready to do anymore and I might end it there. But if I toss that food and he comes back to me right away and he wants to continue working, then we'll do a few more repetitions. So I'm going to move on to handling his tail. So he's going to need to have his temperature taken at the vet. So for this, I'm just going to bring my hand down his back and gently lift his tail. Yes. Good boy. Yes. Nice work, bud. So if he sits down, I'm just going to have him do a loop to stand up again. Yes, good boy. Good job, bud. Go get it. For his paws this week, I am just working on gently lifting up his paws. So I do like to start at the top of his leg and kind of work my hand down and then pick up a paw versus going right in and reaching for that paw to begin with. Yes, good boy. Oh. Oh, you're getting away from me. You're getting away from me. What are we doing? Go get it. Brisket. Good boy. So he does tend to swing his butt out so that he's facing me, so I'm just going to continue with him facing me. Yes, good boy. So ideally I'd like him to be this way, not this way, but I'm just going to work with what he's doing here. Good boy. He is getting better at it, though. I find that he has an easier time if I'm up on the couch versus if I'm on the floor. Whoa, buddy. What are we doing here, huh? Oh my goodness. Yes. Yes, good boy. Okay, I'll get him to turn so we can do this other side here. Here, it's right here. Oh, good boy. Wait. Go get it. Toss a little reset. He seems a little unsure there. You coming back? Oh, good boy. Good boy. All right, he tends to do better standing this way. So you'll still be able to see this a little bit here. Yes, good boy. Good job, Brisket. Yes, nice work, buddy. Good boy. Go get it. He's already getting much better at this. The first day when I tried to do this, he really wasn't quite sure and kept trying to back away from me, so I'm glad that he's standing closer to me. So it's still a work in progress, but that's fine. I just want him getting more comfortable with that. So the last thing that I'm going to do as far as handling is handle his face a little bit. So his ears, his eyes, and his mouth. So for this, I'm going to get him licking a piece of food. Here, bud. Ooh. Go get it. Good boy. What are we doing? Okay, so he's kind of not coming back to me, right? Like he's coming back and then running off. So I think we're going to end it there. And next week, I think I'll take video of his face. So, or yeah, sometime next week I'll do it. Or maybe we'll give him a break and come back to it. But for his face, all I'm doing is like handling his ears a little bit while he's on a piece of food. Maybe gently lifting an eyelid while he's on a piece of food. And then gently lifting up his lips so I can take a look at his gums. Good job, buddy. Go get it. And then the other thing I've been doing with him this week is in an attempt to get him a little more used to the collar, his harness, all that good stuff, just using food to work on the stuff as well. So I will get him on a piece of food and then maybe just like touch the collar around his neck and handle this a little bit. Yes, good boy. Just so that he's not so head shy with a couple of these things. Yes, good boy. Good man. If I'm going to attach the leash, I'll get him on a piece of food while I find the buckle on the leash. And I'll drop the food on the floor. So while he's eating the food, I can get him leashed up. Good boy. And then I have also been having him just like drag his leash while we're doing stuff. Go get it. So I'll toss a get it cookie while he's dragging that leash. And then when he comes back, I'll reward him for coming back. But I just want him getting used to this leash dragging around. See if we can get him a little more comfortable being attached to that leash. Good job, buddy. And then when I'm going to take the leash off, I get him on a piece of food. You hear your brother? And while he's eating that piece of food, I'll unclip the leash. Good boy. And then same thing with the harness. I like to kind of teach him to get dressed by himself. So I'll see if I can get him to like lure his head through the collar, or I'm sorry, through the harness, or just feed him through it and not even worry about really luring his head. Good boy. So the more we can do all this type stuff with food, I think the better it'll be as far as him, you know, starting to have a positive association with it. He's already gotten a lot better the first day. He was really hesitant about all of this. And I know he seems to be more hesitant with me because I'm still a little bit new to him. But he's really making some good progress with this stuff. So we'll continue working on it. What do you think, bud? That's it for Brisket's week 1 video recap. Make sure that you're looking at the email that I send over. That'll give you a written instruction on everything we've been working on, as well as a couple additional videos. Good job, bud.